Hello, Hetche. Welcome. I'm Randy Wallace, and I want to say welcome to Squaw's Corner. I opened my first episode with kind of explaining why I called this Squaw's Corner. It's because I am of Indian heritage. I'm sort of repeating myself here. I wanted to kind of talk about today how I started making the decision to live my life as a woman full-time. I had been living my life very much part-time as a woman since 2005. That's when my ex decided she wanted to divorce me, and this was the reason. And we separated. So I don't want to get into all that right now. But being on my own allowed me to start developing my sense of style as a woman. And that really did evolve. Oh, it took years. Just like for teenage girls growing up, they have to find who they are. I had to find who I was and what my style was. What I enjoyed, how I enjoyed to dress. And that took a long time. But about 2017, I decided that it was time for me to start thinking about going full-time, doing transition. So I started doing my earnest research, and I did find a psychologist. I did go counseling, and so I just I'll review here a little bit of the letter that I got after going through therapy. And this letter was dated in July of 2018. This letter was dated was for my endocrinologist, so that they would start treating me with HRT, the hormone replacement therapy. So this is regarding the patient. It has my legal name, and then it has my AKA name, Randy Wallace. I had not changed my name at that point. And it's addressed to the doctor, and it says that I'm writing this letter at the request of Brandy, myself, concerning her readiness to commence hormone replacement therapy. Ms. Wallace met with you for an initial assessment in July and has a follow-up appointment scheduled with you in September. And he wanted a therapy letter, a letter from a therapist. So Ms. Wallace was assigned male at birth and identifies as a female. I have obtained consent from Ms. Wallace to release the information in support of my transition. My gender-affirming hormone therapy is what it's technically called. She is a licensed clinical worker in private practice, and I'm not going to go into all of her qualifications. She is a member of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, WPATH, which I have heard a lot about and read, gotten a lot of good information, or maybe even bad information. I don't know. It just depends on your point of view from there. She said, based on her evaluation of me, that she was confident that I met the needs of the DSM-5. That's the Diagnosis Standards Manual. It's the manual that psychologists have for mental disorders. Because at one time, being transgender was considered a mental illness. She says here that there was a marked incongruence between experienced and expressed gender and assigned gender male. Yeah, I preferred being a girl. A strong desire to be rid of male primary and secondary sexual characteristics. Strong desire for women's primary and secondary sex characteristics. Strong desire to be treated as a woman. Strong desire to be a woman, i.e. conviction that she is a woman. Clinically significant distress in her social, interpersonal, and work functioning relating to the incongruence between her gender identity and assigned gender. I think that was just that there was a lot of emotional stress on me working as a police officer and not being able to having to suppress my female side. And that's really about all it says. It's only just a page and maybe a paragraph on it, but it says a lot. That took several sessions, that I met with her, and I felt really comfortable talking with her. She was, it was a good match for me for being to talk with her. So that's kind of how I started, and I know several other ladies that have done transition. Some have done, I don't know, let's say I know some who rushed it and did some of the hormone therapy and how they got their hormones, or do get their hormones. I don't know. But they didn't go through a clinical assessment, and they didn't get them medically prescribed. So if you're considering this, it's one step at a time. I have struggled with for my entire life, and when I started this process, I didn't find a need to rush this. I wanted to do this the best way that I could, the safest way that I could, both physically and emotionally, because there was a lot of changes that started happening. And I did get onto my hormone therapy, and I was on my therapy for a little over a year. Now, my intent there was to start this therapy and to retire from my department as a police officer. But it hadn't happened yet. And I had been on hormones for, over a year. And it had made significant changes in my physical appearance and my mental disposition. I think physically, my skin got a lot softer. I lost a lot of muscle tone, muscle mass. My skin became softer. My muscles kind of started changing. Not big and bulky, but started getting a little more longer. And it was subtle. But my neighbors had made the comment, who knew me, knew me both ways, told me that they were seeing the changes in me, both physically and emotionally. So, as I said, I had been on the therapy for a little over a year. And that's when I went to my chief of police. This is a man that's been in police work for, he was in his 70s. And probably been a police officer for 50 years. Close to it, probably. And had been a chief there for like 20 years at that time, almost 20 years. And had retired from another department. And had been a deputy chief there. So, when I got an appointment to sit in with him and talk with him, and we were there for about an hour, and we discussed this very frankly and openly. Really, I opened the session where it was like, Chief, need to talk with you, and he was very open. And I says, I've got a letter, and it was in the envelope. And I says, maybe this will make it easier for me. And I just handed him the letter, and he read it. He read it very thoughtfully. And he took his time. I could tell he was really thinking this letter through. And he put it back in the envelope, and he just looked at me, and he says, what do you want to do? How do you want this to proceed? And well, at this point, I was probably crying. I know at the very least I had tears in my face. Several people in my department already knew. I'd already come out with my lieutenant and the captain, and I hadn't seen any of the majors, but I was up to the chief. And he listened to me, and we came up with a plan. I made a suggestion how I would like to do it, to come out to the department and to start working as a female at the department. And he said that would not be a problem. He had no problem with me doing that. And he kind of congratulated me, or complimented me, I think would be a better word, that for having the courage to do this with all my peers. Police work. The women in police work probably got more testosterone than some guys. It's a very male-oriented, domineering profession. Lots of women in there, but it hadn't always been a lot of women. But I got welcomed. He did. So we scheduled a date. It was about 2 weeks that I picked the date, because I wanted to pick a date that my shift was working, the night shift, and it was a date that I was off. And we agreed to that. And I said that I would come in, and I said I would write a letter and would like to basically introduce myself as a girl to the members of my department, or as many as I could. So he agreed. We had my shift, the day shift, the special units, the dispatchers, and all the command staff. So there was probably close to 50 people in the roll call, which is normally 15 people for the shift. But it was 2 shifts plus all overhead staff, the day staff that's in there, the admins, and 3 or 4 people came out of the dispatcher's office that was in there, and 3 majors, a captain was there, several of the lieutenants from the different departments, and the chief and the deputy chief. So I got to have a nice talk. And it wasn't real long, but I'm just remembering some of it, that's all. And that'll be the next story. So it's about time. I think I'll stop this one right now. And I think I've said everything I wanted to say. There's probably a lot of nothing. And I'll try and talk some more about the next step that I took. Okay, so I would like to say thank you for being here, Mado. I appreciate you stopping by, and if you listen to my story, and I hope you learned something from it. And I hope it's as good for you, information-wise, I guess, as it is for me. So with that, bye-bye. Have a great day. Oh, it's just a couple days before Christmas. Today's the 20th of December. And this is what I wore to work today. A little short Santa Claus skirt and my Santa Claus sweater. So I know it's after. It's going to be after when I put these on the post this. So, but I hope everybody had a very happy holidays and a happy new year, and God bless you and have a great year. Thank you.